Yeah, this is brutal news. Brutal for Tyson. Of course, injury questions around him were a big topic of discussion before the NFL draft, given his own injury history. And also for the New Orleans Saints. Adam alluded to this, but I have been hearing all summer from folks who had a first-hand glimpse of him in New Orleans that he looked incredible, just so explosive, so elusive coming out of his cuts, great hands, all the qualities you saw on tape. And I think he would have been a big part of this offense. I thought he was a fantastic pairing with both Tyler Shuck because of his ability to throw over the middle of the field, intermediate throws, but also with Chris Olave. Now, take a step back, you look at the Saints receiving group, and there's not a lot of depth. Devon Vele, I think, is a great contested catch guy, but not the same role. I think the tight ends in New Orleans, Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant, Oscar Delt, might have to take on a bigger role, but Chris Olave is going to get an overwhelming target share and really have to earn that big contract extension he just got.
Hey, along those lines, we're under a month until week 1 kicks off. Should we expect something to get done with Vita Vea before then?
Well, first of all, if Big Swagoo were running the Buccaneers, it sounds like Vita Vea will be signed to a new deal by now. But he's not. And so there are the questions that are out there that linger out there. I know Big Swagoo's shipping him off to a number of teams. I noticed he didn't mention the Los Angeles Rams because they've added everybody else. Why not Vita Vea too? But the fact of the matter is, I don't think the Buccaneers are looking to trade Vita Vea. And I do think we're entering the time of the season where teams sometimes make another push to make things happen, and it wouldn't shock me if all this cold, frosty talk thawed a little bit in the coming weeks, and there was some movement here. I won't be surprised if that. I won't be surprised if something like that happens, Big Swaggle. We'll see, but for the time being, he's not happy. There's no deal. We can continue floating teams. I just think that that's going to be premature. Let's sit back. Let's wait. Let's see what happens, and then we can discuss Vita Vea's future
I don't like the big dogs waiting on money. I think when you look at Raheem Morris, I go back to how Atlanta ended the season last year. On a win streak. The defense was playing much, much better. He had 2 young pass rushers. I know they're going through that in Atlanta with them not being available. But when you think about Odigizua and Fred Warner coming back, obviously, that's like an understood you in a defense, right? Like, we're going to be better because of this one guy, not because we've added talent. This one guy is going to make us markedly better. But you think about Bosa and Odigizua and generating a pass rush. Last year, the 49ers did not get after the quarterback out of a 4-man rush. I'm sure like they would have liked to. So that needs to improve. And when you think about this team, if they can avoid injury, because they win 10 games with half of their damn roster missing every year. But if you get into the playoffs and having to deal with, obviously, Matthew Stafford, having to deal with Seattle with Sam Darnold, you're going to need to be able to generate pressure without bringing extra bodies. And that's going to be a calling card for the 49ers. Raheem Morris has his work cut out for him, but this defense being healthy and having his guys back will go a major way in this division alone. And I've been hearing all summer, because, Boogie, I be disappearing.
Yeah, but you've been watching.
I've been watching. I've been hearing all summer. Seattle not getting the respect that they deserve. LA is the hot team, and the Rams, they might get Aaron Donald back. The 49ers can never be slept on.
I agree.
Right? And if they carry a healthy team at important times of the season, Kyle is going to have this team formidable and competing at a high level. The issue for them is staying healthy.
Well, I mean, to your
carted off the field today after a player fell on his left knee. He could not put any pressure on that left knee. It did not look encouraging. The Chargers and everybody else are hoping for the best with Tyler Biadasz, and he was not the only Charger hurt today. They also lost Quentin Johnson, their wide receiver, briefly, and linebacker Kyle Kennard. Now, I was just told that Quentin Johnson is completely fine. Nothing there, fortunately, for the Chargers, despite the fact that Johnson limped off the field. He's not expected to miss any time. Kennard also limped off the field today, still awaiting an update on him. As for the 49ers, their wide receiver, Mike Evans, wrapped his quad at one point in time, did not finish the practice, but Kyle Shanahan said it was not serious. They were being cautious with Mike Evans. That's encouraging, but anytime you see any 49er hurt, particularly at the wide receiver position, it's instant nervous reaction from a lot of people. But Evans, like Quentin Johnson, is said to be fine. That's encouraging.
Okay.
Well, that's the question. So in 2007, when they first did the Dolphins-Giants, and that game was Eli Manning versus Cleo Lemon, and I remember I covered that game, and it was like 2007, we're going to London, first time. I think Goodell said 15 years from now, we'd love to see a team, in London. And that 15 years has passed, and we don't have a team. I think logistics is what's holding it up more than anything. It's not fan interest. It's not stadiums. It's not the time zone stuff, because if I'm being honest, we now have 7 games in the morning anyway on these Sundays, as opposed to what we used to have, just like 1. And I think fans are becoming accustomed to that on the East Coast and even on the West Coast. But the logistics of making it all work is what it is. So the question is, guys, to your point, is it one team that's there and they play 8 games in London and then they play 8 games, in the States and we figure it all out? Or is it a whole division of 4? So there is a bigger brain trust than you could imagine trying to work out all the permutations and making it happen. But here we are in 2026. We're all these years later, and we still are trying to figure out the logistics to make it work. And I think the Players Union is going to have a big say in this. And I also think as you start working it out, the networks are going to have a big say in this, because every time you put another game on in the morning, and I know this is like the 30th thing and the players don't care about this, but the media side of it, those NFL pregame shows on Fox, on ESPN, on CBS, those are big sponsors. You're losing a little bit of that audience every single time you're saying, well, it's going to be the pregame show versus an actual NFL game that's going to be on in this window instead. So there's all sorts of conversations that have to be had, media, business, but also logistics. How are we going to make this work so that these teams can actually compete and there won't be a competitive advantage for someone else?
Yeah, Shregs, I know you're very close to the New York Football Giants. What's going on with OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr.? Is he going to make this squad? And if he does, I guess, what kind of role is he going to have?
Dude, what an awesome story. I think this is for everyone who thinks that their book might be closed, but they feel like they have one last gasp. Like, I was there at practice last week. He's running with the 3rd string at one point. He's in the 4th quarter of a preseason game, running routes, as fast as he can. Guys, he's doing everything you possibly could ask for a veteran who is trying to make the team, and it's selfless. It's with no ego. And I think it's maybe my favorite story of all of training camp across the NFL, OBJ, whether he's going to make this, because it's not going to be given to him. They have a lot of guys trying out for those last spots in the wide receivers room. And it's not an insult at OBJ, but that's where he's at right now, where it's going to be, can he make the 53? Has done everything that's been asked, has been working his ass off, but he is a year plus removed from being in the NFL. But I think there's a cool storybook finish to this. And we were all together in March in Arizona when, it was known that Joe Shane was taking a meeting with OBJ, and OBJ made the initiative to go to that hotel and to go and take that meeting. And I will tell you, the Mara family absolutely loves Odell Beckham. And I think one of the great regrets in this market is that it ended the way it did. He was shipped off to Cleveland, and yes, they got stuff in return, but that shouldn't have been the end of the Odell Beckham Giants story. I think there is a lot of positivity around this, but to his credit, he has not said a peep about playing with guys that probably don't belong on the same field with him if you're going historically, and playing 4th quarters of preseason games and going out with guys that, maybe a guy with a bigger ego or someone who said, hey, do you realize that I was in the NFL 100 commercial? Like, I don't need to be playing with a 4th string quarterback. This guy has not said a peep. And in West Virginia was apparently awesome for the younger wide receivers, Malachi Fields included. So the long answer to that, AJ, is that everyone is rooting for this, but he's going to have to make the team. And that is not a sure bet right now.
It's, I feel like, man, there's a lot of, there's a ton of camaraderie. And I still feel like there's some rivalry, as far as just the legendary matchups that we saw between a lot of these guys, growing up. And then even like my class of guys, I could not ask for a more unbelievable class of guys. Like Roger has been so awesome. I think just collectively as a group, like we have developed such a love and appreciation for Roger, his entire family, like his journey, seeing how happy, like genuinely happy all of his teammates were to see him going in. And I think we would all say, man, it's been a long time coming, right? For a guy who had such immense contributions to the game of football and to his team in that era with the Niners. But, Larry Fitzgerald's always been one of my favorite guys, throughout the league. And Adam Vinatieri, of course, like 2 Hall of Fame careers basically on 2 different teams. But Luke Kuechly, you talk about like kind of rivalries. Yeah. Here's the guy who legitimately every year was like, how do we get past Luke Kuechly if we want to win this division? And now all of a sudden we're going in the same Hall of Fame class. So the relationship that we've been able to develop, truly this brotherhood that'll last, for the rest of our lives.
At Drew Brees.